What's good, people? It's your boy Femzilla, and Happy New Year. This is actually my second time recording this video because the audio on the first one wasn't great, and I'm trying to put a big emphasis on quality over quantity this year. Once again, we're going through my favorite games of the previous year, so this is going to be my favorite games of 2024. A lot has happened in gaming in 2024, a lot of releases, a lot of flops, a lot of bangers, but yeah, I just wanted to go through them with you guys today, and also thank everyone who's joined the community this year, well, from last year. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, in no particular order, one of my first picks is Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. I think this was a massive title for Ubisoft this year, one of their best games that they released. Unfortunately, the game kind of fell prey to being released at the beginning of the year, which inherently just makes it a bit forgettable, especially in gamer time and gamer years. But the title was massive. It was a great reintroduction into the series, and I think it'd be best suited for Ubisoft this year to, focus more on supporting smaller titles to kind of prop up their AAA games, instead of like releasing loads of AAA games in a year. I feel like they released too many AAA and quote unquote quadruple A titles this year, when they could have really enforced and encouraged smaller titles like Prince of Persia. Ubisoft's they've got a lot going on, but with 2025, Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming out, so it'd be good to see like maybe smaller titles propped it up rather than release Assassin's Creed Shadows and like a bunch of other AAAs. But this is about Prince of Persia. Great game, great combat, the graphics were great. Metroidvania with like Souls-like difficulty. This is definitely one I would pick up if you haven't played already. It's just a great addition to the series. Alright, so another pick of mine was Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. This really kind of locked in the new direction with the Like a Dragon series. Yakuza is like one of my favorite long-time standing series, and I wasn't entirely sold when the first Like a Dragon title came out, but this has kind of really locked it into place for me. The locales are great, Ichiban is a great character, there's a lot of callbacks to the Yakuza franchise in this game, and the gameplay is just great and fun as well. Like, who doesn't want to be in Hawaii? It's a great addition to the game, really. Definitely one I would pick up if you haven't played as well. If you like turn-based combat, this is one for you. But yeah, shout outs to the Yakuza. Okay, so another one of my hits was once again like a victim of coming out earlier in the year, and kind of underrated just because it's a licensed title, but Sandland was one of my favorites for the year. It's got a bit of a slow start, to be honest, but the game has some really great mechanics. It's just a great like JRPG, and I also liked that it was just kind of a return to form with Bandai doing a multimedia release project, which was fun to see. The anime was great. I think there was a reissue of the manga as well, which was fantastic. And I think, now knowing everything that we know, it was great to just have one final like horror Akira Toriyama project that wasn't Dragon Ball. The gameplay, the visuals are beautiful, very reminiscent of his work on Dragon Age, rather than being more relative to Dragon Ball. But yeah, I think this is another one if you can get for cheap, or like just on sale really. It's definitely worth picking up. It's a fun time. It can be a bit tiring because it is Sandland and you are definitely exploring a desert, which can be very tiring on the eyes, but great game, great time. Loads of fun little mechanics with like the Spino village rebuilding and stuff like that. So yeah, one of my faves. Okay, so next up on the list we have Star Wars Outlaws. This may be a controversial pick to some, but I realized that anyone who actually thinks it's controversial just didn't play the game. When I played it, like when I did my posts, like I even had people commenting saying, "Oh, the game's not even good," and I was like, "Just what are you talking about? It's a good game. It's a great game, really." Obviously, it didn't do as well financially, and Ubisoft didn't make the greatest choices, especially with like the DLC. Like, I think it was like some Jabba content that was being like locked behind a paywall, and the game was pretty expensive. I think it's £80 on retail on release. But this is one of the like greatest like Star Wars games that we've had. Like beautiful locales, beautiful adventures. The gameplay for the most part was solid. Some of the platforming was very irritating, and there were a couple of glitches that I encountered. But in terms of having a Star Wars game that's like coherent and cohesive, this is one of the better ones. And it's also great to just have a Star Wars title that isn't, completely locked in with Jedis and lightsabers. Great experience, and a very different experience. I think one of the things I realized whilst playing the game is that Kves isn't a good person. Like, she's a scoundrel, she's a scumbag, she's a hustler. So you kind of start progressing and making waves a lot easier when you realize that you are playing as a scoundrel, which is a pretty difficult thing to kind of wrap your head around when playing a Star Wars game, because you are usually a hero. But yeah, Star Wars Outlaws, honestly, it's expensive, but if you can get this one on a good sale, or what I recommend most people is get Ubisoft Play. If you want to play like a AAA Ubisoft title, Ubisoft Play is there. Pay your 15 quid. Most of these games are longer than like 30-40 hours. You can play them within a month, and yeah, you get the experience. Okay, my final top game of 2024. You probably expected it. We all expected it, really. It's Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. This is a new addition in the Sparking, Tenkaichi franchise. It's been over 10 years since Tenkaichi 3. So when this was like announced and teased in 2023, it was all very, very exciting. I think the game was a hit on launch. I think everyone loved it. It's a great time. The graphics are beautiful. The animations were fantastic. But then the game kind of fell prey to what I'm calling like the esportification of multiplayer games, where a lot of people just want to make these games hyper competitive, especially in the fighting game community. If it's a fighting game, people just expect it to be like an Evo level worthy game, which just isn't always the case and doesn't need to be. Like Sparking Zero is an arcade fighter. It's supposed to be fun. It's a party game, really, and people weren't too happy with that. They were complaining about balance and all these other things, which really, like, you're supposed to play as Mr. Satan versus Gogeta and try and figure out how to beat that Gogeta, But other than that, I think it was an amazing title. I think Bandai kind of really missed the mark by hosting that tournament. Obviously, the infamous tournament with the androids running up and down. Because it isn't supposed to be a competitive game. I think you can have fun without it being competitive and balanced. I would say I am looking forward to the DLC and the new characters. I think what would probably give the game a bit more life is that in online matches, maybe like health bars are the same across the board. I think in terms of balancing, that would probably be the best thing, whilst not messing with the integrity of the game too much. But yeah, those were my top games for 2024. all games that I think you should pick up in 2025 if you have the opportunity. If you have any other top games that I haven't mentioned, leave them down in the comments, or let me know if you think I was wrong, maybe if you thought some of these games were bad. And I will be doing a couple more videos with some of the games, like some of my special mentions for the year, some of the games that I've like really loved in 2024 that I never actually got a chance to buy and will be buying this year. And I will be dropping a video with my predictions and things that I want to change for 2025 and the games that I'm looking most forward to. So yeah, Happy New Year, guys. Thank you so much for the support over the past year. I'm going to really try and ramp up the content this year. But yeah, thank you all, and I'll see you next time. Peace.